Hello, fight fans. Thanks for joining us at MMA Insider. Before we get rolling with today's news, show some love by hitting that like button and subscribing. Now let's uncover the latest happenings in MMA. Starting off, pros react after Umar Nurmagomedov defeats Cory Sandhagen at UFC Abu Dhabi. Moving on, Tony Ferguson offers retirement update after 8th consecutive loss at UFC Abu Dhabi. Next, pros react after Michael submits Tony Ferguson at UFC Abu Dhabi. Lastly, the UFC issues statement after antitrust settlement gets denied by judge. Today's UFC Abu Dhabi event was headlined by a men's bantamweight bout between Cory Sandhagen and Umar Nurmagomedov. Sandhagen had entered this afternoon's main event sporting a 3-fight winning streak, his most previous being a unanimous decision victory over Rob Font 12 months ago. Prior to that victory, Cory had earned wins over Marlon Vera and Song Yadong respectively. Meanwhile, Umar Nurmagomedov had last competed in March of this year, where he earned a unanimous decision victory over Almakhan. The undefeated 28-year-old had gone a perfect 5-0 over his first 5 octagon appearances. Today's UFC Abu Dhabi main event proved to be a coming-out party for Umar Nurmagomedov. Umar was able to get the better of Cory Sandhagen both on the feet and on the canvas. Although Cory showed a ton of heart and made the fight competitive, it was pretty clear after 25 minutes of action that Umar was the superior fighter. After 5 grueling rounds, Umar was awarded the unanimous decision victory. Check out how the pros reacted to Umar Nurmagomedov defeating Cory Sandhagen at UFC Abu Dhabi. Hats off to both fighters. Very high-level chess match. I have it 49-46 Nurmagomedov. Great performance, brother. For Cory never really being a wrestler, I was impressed. Congrats to Umar, very high-level fight. Amazing win for Umar. Great fight. Umar is the truth. Title shot next. Who would you like to see Umar Nurmagomedov fight next following his victory over Cory Sandhagen this afternoon in Abu Dhabi? Tony Ferguson laid down just one of his gloves in the octagon tonight as he refused to fully commit to retirement following an 8th straight defeat. The former interim champion has been on a losing streak since a 2020 meeting with Justin Gaethje for his belt and lost again in the first round to Michael on Saturday night. UFC boss Dana White had declared that he wouldn't be getting another fight, and it seems his UFC career has come to an end. However, Ferguson is a veteran of the game and wasn't keen to commit to a full retirement, telling fans that he loves the UFC and doesn't want to go anywhere else. As such, he just laid down one glove, indicating that he wouldn't fully commit to leaving the sport just yet. After 4 years of consecutive losses, 5 of which came by some degree of stoppage, fans were concerned for Tony Ferguson as he headed into the final fight of his UFC career. He faced a similarly struggling Michael, who had lost his last 5 on the bounce as he moved to welterweight permanently. Ferguson's loss brings his streak of defeats to 8 in a row, breaking the previously set record by BJ Penn of 7. He has been given a number of chances by the promotion to launch a comeback, but appears to be heading towards the end of his career. After the bell, Ferguson was interviewed by Daniel Cormier in the Octagon, having previously insisted that he wouldn't be retiring. Usually a fighter will lay down their gloves, but he instead opted to just put down one as he teased potentially leaving the sport due to now being on the outs with the UFC. Here is what he said: "I don't want to retire, I really don't, but I love the UFC and I don't want to go anywhere else, so I'm not going to put both gloves down. I'm going to put one and I'm going to keep the other one just in case." In a video filmed by official UFC cameras immediately after that speech, he appeared to be more defiant about sticking with the sport. He told the social media team, "I ain't done yet. Nah, it ain't time yet, man. I got a lot of work on." Today's UFC Abu Dhabi event featured a highly anticipated welterweight bout between Tony Ferguson and Michael. Ferguson was looking to earn his first win since June of 2019 when he took to the cage this afternoon. Tony had lost his previous 7 fights in a row, his most previous defeat coming against Paddy Pimblett at UFC 296 this past December. Meanwhile, Michael entered today's contest with hopes of snapping a 3-fight losing skid. Michael had most previously competed inside of the octagon 13 months ago at UFC 291, where he suffered a submission loss to Kevin Holland. Today's Tony versus Michael bout did not make it out of the opening round. After trading some shots from distance, Michael was able to force the clinch and take the back of Tony Ferguson while standing. Michael dragged Tony to the octagon canvas and promptly began working for a rear naked choke submission. It did not take the veteran long to secure the choke, and Tony had no choice but to tap out. Following the loss, Ferguson put one glove down, but would not fully commit to retirement. Check out how the pros reacted to Michael defeating Tony Ferguson below. Tony, we love you, but it's time. Very happy for Michael, but gutted for Tony Ferguson. Tough to see such a great career turn the way it has for him. We love you, Tony, but please hang it up. One of the best to ever do it in the lightweight division. I hope people will remember the legend of Tony One in generations to come. One of a kind. Thank you, Tony Ferguson. We love you, all respect. The decision is up to you. An honor to share the octagon with you back in 2020. Lightweight legend, thank you. Michael submits Tony Ferguson in round 1 at UFC Abu Dhabi. Ferguson's 8-fight UFC losing skid now stands alone for the longest in company history. Michael submits Tony Ferguson in the first round in what I expect to be Ferguson's final UFC bout. Much love to Tony on his UFC run. One of the more interesting characters we've seen in the sport. That was so classy of Michael to give Tony Ferguson the floor. Even after breaking a losing streak where he hasn't had mic time in the octagon for a while, he gave Tony his moment. It's not a surprise for me. I want to wish him all of the best. I did not expect a single glove to be put down. Future uncertain. Tony Ferguson is the type of guy to take his gloves off in the cage, leave one and keep one after 8 losses in a row. What a Tony move. Tough 13 champion Tony Ferguson versus tough 15 champion Michael. Believe this is the 24th tough champ versus tough champ bout in the UFC. Michael is 2-0 against tough champs. Ferguson is 0-1 against tough champs. The UFC has issued a statement after the antitrust settlement was denied by a judge. Judge Richard Boulware has denied the antitrust lawsuit settlement against the Ultimate Fighting Championship. A settlement of $335 million was reached in March of 2024. It was to be an end to fighters challenging the promotion for better fighter pay. Apparently, the judge said not so fast and blocked the settlement. In response, the UFC released the following statement to the press. We obviously disagree with this ruling and believe it disregards the expertise of counsel from both sides, as well as that of an accomplished and expert mediator, all of whom have decades of experience in antitrust case law. It prevents the athletes from receiving what they have argued is in their best interest and unwinds an extensively negotiated settlement that, in the plaintiff's counsel's own words, would far surpass the typical antitrust class action settlement and is an excellent result for the settlement classes by all traditional measures. Additionally, by taking the unusual step of denying the settlement at this preliminary approval stage, the judge is also denying the athletes their right to be heard during this pivotal moment in the case. As we have said throughout this process, we believe strongly in the merits of our cases and are evaluating all our options, including, without limitation, an appeal, and have initiated discussions with plaintiffs' counsel who have expressed a willingness to engage in separate settlement discussions for the Lee and Johnson cases. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Your dedication and support fuel our passion to bring you the latest and greatest in the MMA world. If you enjoyed today's news, please give us a thumbs up and share it with fellow MMA fans. Remember to subscribe to stay in the loop with daily MMA updates. We've got a lot of exciting news, interviews, and analysis coming your way every single day. Your engagement helps us grow and serve the MMA community even better. Once again, thank you for being an integral part of our daily MMA journey.